Okay, so I really just wanted to give you like a really detailed inside look at how I've organized my kitchen. We are in about a 900 square foot house total, so pretty tiny space, but I really feel like I've done a lot of work and intentionality in trying to make it work as well as it can for us, and just a lot of things that have, I don't know, just been, I'd like to share with you. So let's just move over, start right over here. So we designed the space, but it was already in a pre-existing space. So we renoed a space that was already, we had certain walls we had to work within, certain dimensions we had to work within. And so we were trying to figure out how to design it best to work within the space that we had. And so for my kitchen, I really thought through how I wanted the layout to be as far as flow to make it, because it was so small, and also just to save me time so I wasn't running back and forth between all the time, but that it could be a smooth flow. So we start off over here where we have our dishwasher, and this is where then again like all of our dirty dishes go in here, and then they can go into the dishwasher, and then when they're clean they come up here. So it's very very efficient as far as workflow, and I love this as far as it. With dishes, I really liked going for an open concept. I felt like this also helped in terms of hospitality and having people over, because I just feel like they can make themselves at home. They know where the cups are. They know where stuff is. If they need something, they can get it. And I just love that as far as the hospitality, because there's so many times like being in somebody's house and they're like, make yourself at home, find stuff, and you're like hunting through all the cupboards trying to find a glass to get a glass of water. And I just love the fact that people can come in, and hopefully it makes them feel a little bit more at home with that. We've gone very like a lot of the same items that we find. I love the fact that it's very clean and very simple. So for our cups, we all have mason jars, the exact same mason jar. For our mugs, we have the mugs that match our set. I'm not a big fan of like having all these unique crazy mugs in your cupboard. I just feel like it feels very chaotic, disorganized. If that's you, like that's great. But for me, that's not me. I like having all the mugs matching. It's kind of peaceful opening your cupboard and not having a whole bunch of color and patterns screaming at you. And then we have some of our little mugs. We use these a lot for the kids in there. And then we have a couple of our special mugs. These are my only two exceptions for pattern mugs. And these are ones that were a gift from Poland that are hand painted. So we got Jylisa's mug and my mug. So these are just kind of our special evening mugs. That I really love. And then up top we have our tea. We're not really coffee drinkers, we do tea, but I love these. We got these a couple years ago, these cast iron kettles, and they are amazing. Put them on the burner, just right on the burner, throw our tea in there. I never really liked green tea because I always felt like it burned, but with these, I don't know, we throw the green tea in, boil it, and it's perfect. It works really well. So we've loved those. And then we have our sink here. In the back we got a Lazy Susan with some other, we've used these as tea mugs, or they're just little dessert dishes that I really love. And it's kind of our tea. We have our tea, some, I don't know, strainers for the tea. And then this is we often do smoothies and stuff. So this is our blender top, because it goes straight onto our mason jars. And then we do smoothies in that. So we keep that there so that it is good. And then we have our Berkey water filter. I was doing a lot of research into water filters, and this one just seemed like the best option as far as price point, as well as how well it filters the water, with like a solid carbon block in there. And so we put that right by the sink so we can fill it up really easy. And then we got under our sink, I'm really about minimal stuff. I don't like a lot of clutter. So under our sink, basically, I have a couple spray bottles that are water for the kids to help with cleaning. These things are amazing, by the way, like we got them with our stoneware, but scrubbing off anything stuck onto pans, do this first, it's amazing. And then I just got some Dawn dish soap. But what I love about this is that this was actually a freebie, and Dallas started using it. He does the dishes, and he thought it was amazing. So I'm like, I think this is gonna be a stay tuned thing. So this is actually just a spray, like it's a spray bottle, but it's for dish soap. And so when he's doing dishes, most of the dishes just go straight into the dishwasher. But if they need anything, it's a quick scrub to get off any junk, throw in the garbage, and then he does a couple squirts, and then it's scrub it with the brush and wash it off, and you're done. And he doesn't even like have to get his hands in the water, in the soap, hardly at all, for the few things that we do wash by hand. That's worked really, really well for us. And then we move over. This is our prepping place, and so we have here, I've started doing these for ingredient jars, and I love this. The whole idea with this initially was I wanted to start making homemade bread more often, and I have a bread machine, so it's not really that much work, but it was just that mental of like putting in all the ingredients. So I started off by just these 4, because those are my 4 bread ingredients, and then butter and water. So I started off just laying these out so they were on the counter so that I would start making bread more often, and it worked. Like, we love having it there. And I loved it so much I decided to add a couple more ingredients that we use. I love the look of this, as well as just the practicality of it is fantastic. And then we got all of our spoons here, wood or metal, that are for working on the stove. Up here are our teas that we have. I love those just in the tin cans. Yeah, and then up top, it's basically just little, we have our mortar and pestle, gravy dish, you know, pretty self-explanatory, spices, serving bowls. We started really liking making our own freshly squeezed lemonade, so love that. And I just love a lot of this like stoneware, ceramic type stuff. Yeah, and so then we'll go into what is in our prepping. So this is my baking drawer. So my mom had one of these. So when we were designing this, I was like, I want a really big baking drawer to keep everything in. In here, we have some of our spices in the back, measuring cups, you know, cocoa powder, baking soda, Ziplocs, honey, oil, and like some of our measuring spoons. But it's pretty minimal because I have this here, and I keep my stuff down to basically my core ingredients, and then I work off that. I don't have a lot of unique specialty ingredients. I just find it takes up too much space. It's hard to use it in time, and I feel like I'm just creative with using those core ingredients. Then under this, I did kind of our Tupperware drawer, and this one was kind of inspired from Dallas's mom, because he always talked about how they had a Tupperware drawer, and it was so nice because Tupperware always, like, you go to get it and stuff's falling out and you're trying to find lids and it's just a mess. So putting my Tupperware in here has just been really nice. But what I love about this is I've just been starting to try doing these IKEA Tupperwares. Not really Tupperwares, I guess, but like, and what I love about them, and the reason for doing them is being glass. But then there's 2 different sizes, and these lids are literally the exact same size. And so basically it is just so easy. It's like the most frustrating thing for me with Tupperware drawers is trying to find the matching lid for the container you want. And it just feels like it's so hard to keep it clean because you're always hunting for lids. So this is fantastic because these are just in a stack, and these are pretty much what I'm using right now. So eventually I think I'm gonna probably clear out a lot of this stuff and just get rid of it, but this is kind of a new experiment, and so far I am loving it. I think it would be nice to just have a Tupperware is basically this, and that's it. No more mess with everything else. Yeah. And then this is just, we started to find that once we moved in, our floor had just a slight slant. We had to build it up. And so often, depending on the time of year, this drawer slides out and it will just keep going. And so I was constantly like going and pushing it in, and then it would just slide back out. And right now it's behaving itself and staying it. But, and so it was just bugging me all the time having this drawer hang out. So I thought that this was just a fun cherry pie filling. Dallas loves pie. We're like, we'll put that there and we'll keep it shut, because it was just, I mean, you do what you do, right? Do what works. So then moving on to our stove, we started doing cast iron a little bit into when we were married. I love it. Like, honestly, they're well seasoned now. And so again, these are like, I cook in these every day. We normally cook in them multiple times a day. And then I'll just bring them over, or Dallas will bring them over, scrub them out, scrub them down with the brush. He doesn't even need the soap, put them back on the stove, heat them up and dry them out. And your dishes are done. I love the fact that they're so fast and easy to do that you hardly feel like you have dishes. They don't have time to really stack up because we just do them immediately after the meal, put them back on, and they're clean. And they just stay here because we use them so often. Yeah, and we got rolling pin. These are some of my favorite spices. If you watch my seasoning salt, this stays here because I use it all the time. Butter and just some salt and a pepper salt blend. And then I have our mixing bowl here that again just stays out on the counter because one, it looks so pretty, and two, we use it probably most days. I love having the cutting boards right here, that they're really, really easy to access. And these have been both really good size. Like this one's really nice for doing just small things in. And then this one I do for more like meats and stuff like that because I don't want to do my meats on wood. And then all of our silverware is just in a basket here. This was something when we went on our honeymoon, we went to a little cottage and they did this with silverware, and I just loved how easy it was to access. And I just move it over for doing the silverware, dump it all in, put it here, and we just try to keep it like knives, spoons, forks. And I love having that. So, and then this is kind of a little bit more of our serving area when you're dishing stuff up. And here is our knife drawer. This is one of those places that I would like to do more transformation in. Yet, I'm still trying to figure it out. But we have all of our basic utensils. We have our knives in here. We've got steak knives. All of our smaller forks are in here, and our big spoons are in here just so that they're not in there getting mixed up. And then just, yeah, all of our utensils. So I'd like to kind of upgrade a few utensils. I'd like to kind of maybe just upgrade this tray and stuff like that, a few things. But for the most part, I like to, again, keep it pretty easy to clean. All my favorite tools, right? Nothing else. I can work with that. And here, I love this design. Again, pretty simple. I have a couple pot holders in here, a couple silicone covers, and a cookie sheet. Pretty simple there. But then this is basically all just our pots and pans. And they're all there just so easy to grab and ready to go. And then I have a casserole dish, and I have our muffin tins and cookie sheets. And honestly, those are the things I use most of the time. And so this really gets all the things that I use on a regular basis in my kitchen. Very easy to access. And then we come onto the freezer here, and we use this as extra counter space, but I love, love, love having it in our kitchen. And basically for me with our freezer, again, I keep it very minimal because I don't want to be thinking about all the things in my freezer and how to use them up and all that stuff. I find it easier to just be basically this part is all meats, and I try to keep meats together, all my hamburger together, all my certain kinds of chicken together, roast together, and this is meats. And then this is frozen veggies, and then this is smoothie, frozen fruit, orange juice, all that kind of stuff. And that's mostly what's in here. We got some hash browns, some breakfast food and stuff. That's pretty much what is in my freezer. And so it is so easy to keep on top of because I don't have a bazillion things in there that I'm trying to use up and trying to remember, or you end up using for one meal and then you don't have enough for another, so it just sits there forever. It's just really easy for me to keep on top of what's in my freezer. So I love that. And then we're gonna move over to where we have fridge freezer. This I keep more generally more specialty stuff. I will get a big chub of pepperoni and slice it all up for pizza and then just freeze it. So it's ready to go. It's tortellini, hot dogs, ice cream, waffles. This is where I put anything more specialty generally, or bread type stuff in there. And then in our fridge, I keep it pretty minimal, but it is grocery day today, so it looks very empty. But for the most part, I try to keep my sauces very minimal to the basics. Generally, I put my milks in the side. Love the fact that this is big enough that I can put 2 jugs of milk in here. And then, yeah, I keep it to basics like peanut butter, salsa, cottage cheese, pickles, pizza sauce, mustard, ranch. And so a lot of those sauces all go in here. And then most of my fridge is filled with dairy and fresh produce most of the time. And then you'll have these as leftovers. But otherwise, it's generally fresh produce and leftovers up here. And then I'll get all my dairy, butter, cheese, all that kind of stuff. So I Full fridges really kind of stress me out. I love the fact that I can see what is in my fridge. And again, I think it just makes for a lot less waste because you know what's in your fridge, and then it's easier to use it up in time, right? And then we move over here to our table. Right now, I love the fact that I'm not worried about the kids getting stuff on this table with little kids. Like, I have had Sharpie on here, I have had nail polish on here. Like, this is our working space where the kids do crafts and they do a lot of things. And so this is a working table. And so right now, this just works really good for us because, again, I'm not worried about them wrecking it. And this is a central location for doing things. On here, I have a wood cutting board, butcher block cutting board, which I love. We basically use this as a hot pad all the time. And so it just stays on the table and we put stuff there. And then I've tried to do like half tablecloth because I found I really wanted to do a tablecloth, but I found that it was just too much to put it on the whole thing all the time. And so I just stopped doing it. It was just too much work. But I found when I did it, I just divide it in half and put it on half. I loved it because it kept this side available to work on without having to take it off every time you do something because you're worried about it getting messy. But then I could just slide it off really easy for a meal. And it hardly took any time, but it still kind of gave that, like, I don't know, that cozy feel to the kitchen. We'll go into the pantry really quick and just show you our pantry. So with our pantry, one of the things I love about this space is that we did a really fairly large pantry. Because we knew that we were in such a small space, having a pantry that had storage space that we could just get out of the way so it wasn't cluttering things up was really important. So anything extra goes in the pantry, and I'm still trying to figure out the pantry a little bit for transformation just because I'm trying to figure out how to transform it the way I want it to be. So it's getting there, little pieces, but a pantry is always hard to make look pretty because the whole idea of it is storage. So it's a work in progress. So we have our aprons for the kids and for me hanging here, just inside the door. We've got our garbage here because we wanted something bigger than what could fit under the sink. And then we have behind the door is a lot of like canned goods. We've got our like appliances, my stoneware, our tea, and then like water bottles, miscellaneous stuff. And then any of our cleaning, mops, vacuums, brooms go in here. Up here is kind of like, the kids have like kind of a prize store that goes here. Miscellaneous ingredients that I don't want cluttering up my baking drawer. This is my like first aid kind of doctor shelf. And then we got our all of our like dish towels, extra spices, cereal, and then like extra serving dishes, some of that kind of stuff goes in there. Around here, my bread machine and my mixer. And then again, just like diapers, Kleenexes, garbage bags, a few mason jars extra, a few like sugar, salt. And then this is really mostly our dry ingredients as far as noodles, rice, pasta. And then these are our recycle, again, because like we don't have a garage, so any recycle goes in here. So both these actually, they can open up, but we've got our milk. I put milk, egg cartons, any recycle stuff in there, and then when it gets full, it's time to take a recycle trip out. But it kind of keeps it out of the way for the most part. And then this is just all like games and stuff like that. Because we don't have a lot of storage in this, this becomes our main storage. And then these are just things I find really valuable in terms of like living in a multi-generational home, is that the kids are often visiting G and Pa or Grandma and Grandpa next door. And so I have one that is for G and Pa and one that is for Grandma and Grandpa because they'll bring stuff in and then I just put it in the box and we know to take it back there, and then it doesn't end up sticking around our space for too long. Yeah. Okay, so that's our kitchen tour. I don't know, like make your kitchen your own, but I hope that you can really, maybe there's some tips there of things that you find that you can implement to just help to make it a little bit less frustrating, a little bit more fun place to be, because really like the kitchen's really the heart of the home. And so if you can really just try to help with those efficiencies, trying to help it just be easier to use, I think that can be make a huge difference with how much you love to be in it and being in it with like your kids and all of that kind of thing. So if there are things that you have done in your kitchen that you love, I would love to hear about those. And if you have not seen the full house tour yet, consider going checking that out. I've done a full house tour so that you can really get an idea of what our 900 square foot space looks like all together. And I will be going through each room. So next week you can be looking for the detailed living room, all the different ways of how I've organized our living room in our small space. And so you can be watching for that. Thanks for watching. We'll see you in the next video.
Hit the like button, subscribe below.